Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Enhancing Your Career Prospects While Studying Your Degree show. What we're going to do over the next hour or so is talk around the different aspects and the different opportunities that you guys could do whilst you're studying your degree and in preparation before you guys come over to university. First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for joining us. We know that you guys could be doing absolutely anything on Amazon Prime, Netflix Video, watching Mr. Joe Exotic. So we really do appreciate you guys taking your time out to come and join us. One thing that I really want to recommend is that if you are joining us on YouTube, if you're joining us on Facebook, please do get involved. The more interactive, the better. I can see your comments. So if you are there, if you want to give us a hello, please do feel free to do so. And I'll be reading some of those as we go through the show. Before we start, what we will do, I'm just going to quickly introduce to you the lovely team that I have with me right now. So you'd be glad to know you haven't got to listen to my Brummie accent for the next hour or so, okay? So I'm just going to bring everyone on screen now, and here they all are. And I'm going to go through them individually so I can let them introduce themselves and give a bit about what they do on a day-to-day. So first of all, I'm going to cross over to Zul.
Hi everyone, my name is Zul Mohammed. I work as a placement officer within the Applications and Law at University. Thank you for joining us on this live from this afternoon. I'll be talking to you more about what you could be doing before you come to university. So some of the things, some of you guys might be in college at the moment, in year 12 or year 13. You could be getting involved with things like Duke of Edinburgh, NCS. These are great opportunities for you guys to kind of get involved with. For example, with Duke of Edinburgh, you could be developing your problem-solving skills. With NCS, you could be getting involved with things like working with different people, developing your confidence, as well as meeting new people. These are all skills required for you in order for you to sort of develop skills required for the future. So hopefully, when you guys come to Demont University, you might take up the opportunity to do a placement here, or as well as once you graduate, you could start thinking about your graduate job as well. So these are skills that you will need in order for you to enhance whilst you can. So whilst you've got the opportunity to get involved with Duke of Edinburgh and NCS, do get involved. Now I do understand with COVID-19 it might be difficult, you might not be able to sort of get involved with these things, but you could be doing other things. Another example you could be doing is, for example, getting a part-time job. This could be working in McDonald's, it could be working in Primark. Again, with COVID-19, might be difficult, but just to give you a bit of an insight, you might be working in Primark, and this will give you an opportunity for you to develop your skills. So you could, potentially be developing your communication skills because you'll be talking to a wide range of customers. You probably will be working with a team that's developing your team working ability, as well as you might be working on the till, so that's developing numerical ability. So these are skills that are very valuable for employers in the future. So you could potentially be start looking for jobs now, for part-time jobs. You'll be earning money, but as well as you'll be developing your skills required for the future. So I would recommend try and get involved with as many things as you can before you come on to studying your degree. So you have got a very good CV. So once you do come and you do decide to apply for a placement, you'll be able to showcase these skills to the employer.
Thanks for that, Zul. Very, very informative there for a very brief introduction. Jane, I'm going to pass over to you now. So if you just want to quickly say a few words about yourself, what you do on a day-to-day basis, and how you could potentially help students.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Jane, and like Zul, I'm a placement coordinator in the Faculty of Business and Law. So our day-to-day role includes supporting students to secure placements as part of their degree. So in this presentation, I'll be covering searching for a placement and the support that we can provide. So I'll go into quite a lot of detail about that. So day to day, we really support students, meet with them face to face, provide online support, and work with employers.
Thank you so much for that, Jane. So Kiran, we're going to cross over to you now.
Hi, I'm Kiran. I'm currently undertaking my placement year here at DMU as the Employer Engagement Assistant. We normally do like creating and organising events on and off campus. We liaise mostly with employers to organise trips to head offices, and we also run the official DMU Works Instagram account. Today, I'll just be speaking about my placement, how important it is to gain work experience, and also what students can think about before they come to uni.
Excellent, thank you for that. Dave, what about yourself?
Okay, hi, good afternoon. My name's Dave. I'm also a placement coordinator with the Business and Law placement team. So I work primarily with second years in supporting them to secure placement opportunities. But today I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of the placements which are involved in the Health and Life Sciences faculty. And then I'll also be talking about some of the careers and advice support that students at DMU receive in their third year, but also some of the initiatives which we have, which students can take forward for their future careers after they leave higher education.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Louise.
Hi, my name's Louise. I'm the placement administrator in the Business and Law faculty. So I support the rest of the team, but I predominantly look after the students while they're out on placement. So making sure they have everything they need, first point of contact, those sorts of things. So once you're placed, I'll be looking after you. Brilliant. Thanks, Dale.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do now, we're going to progress on with today's show. We've got Abu joining us saying hello. So hello, Abu. Guys, please feel free as you're watching, if anyone says something of interest that you'd like to question or like to know more of, please do get in touch on the comment section and we'll be able to read those out. So Zul, I'm going to ask you now, what do you think students can do before they come to university?
Okay, so I covered that briefly before in the introduction, but I'll go over it again. The students can get involved with a wide range of things before coming to university. So if you are, for example, in year 11 or year 12, year 13, you could be getting involved with your Duke of Edinburgh, NCS. These are great opportunities for students to participate in, to develop your skills required for the future. So, for example, with Duke of Edinburgh, you could be getting involved in developing your problem-solving skills. You could perhaps get involved with NCS, great opportunity to develop your confidence, meet new people, as well as, go on staying at university halls of residence for a couple of nights. This obviously develops your independent skills as well. Now, with COVID-19, it might not be possible for students to kind of participate in these things. So hopefully when things get better, and if the opportunity is there, then I would recommend definitely that you get involved with these things. Another thing you can get involved with is a part-time job. I would recommend if you can get a part-time job, then you should try and get a part-time job. You should, you'll be able to develop your skills. This doesn't have to be related to your degree. It could be working in Primark, in McDonald's, in Asda. These are great opportunities for you to, first of all, earn some money as well as develop your skills, because you'd be talking to different customers. You'd be getting involved with, processing till transactions, developing a numerical ability. You could, potentially be working in a small team or a large team. So you'll be developing a lot of skills. So these are some of the things I would recommend that you could get involved with before you come to university.
Thank you so much for that. Very insightful there, Saul. What would you say about the students that are in their first year? Is there anything that they could particularly get involved with? Perhaps maybe societies or something like that? What would you recommend there?
Absolutely. So if you are a first at university, or once you become a first at university, you can get involved with a lot of things. Like Dal mentioned, we have got a lot of societies on campus you could be part of. So you could be part of fun societies, things like Harry Potter Society. You could get involved with cheese tasting society. And if there is, if you think there isn't a society that suits your needs or your taste, you could actually create a society. So, for example, if you're a chocolate lover, you could perhaps, create a chocolate tasting society. So there's quite a lot of things you can get involved with, with the societies. As well as societies, we do have our different sports clubs. So you could get involved if you're particularly quite keen to get involved with sports, football, badminton, tennis, just to name a few. You could get involved with all these sports clubs. We do have a dedicated a training place where all these sports clubs do train regularly. You could be participating in matches across, various different areas, within the university, across, playing different other universities. You can get involved with volunteering opportunities. So we do have the DMU local opportunity where you could be getting involved with within a square mile radius of the university to get involved with volunteering opportunities. So you could be sort of working with young people, with older citizens of Leicester, developing your transferable skills. So these are some of the things you could get involved in your first year. These also opportunities, once you progress on within your first year, you could perhaps, apply to become an ambassador, as well as get involved with different opportunities. So we do inform students about these. You will get an email regarding these. They'll be advertised, across the university on the, students portal as well as the website. So do keep a lookout once you do join, Department University to get involved with different things.
Thank you so much for that, Zul. I think a lot of students at the moment will be concerned with the current crisis around coronavirus. I know a lot of students would have utilised the summer now in regards to gaining this valuable work experience. What would you say to students who might not necessarily have that opportunity, given the current circumstances, in what they could be doing at home in order to expand their skill set?
Absolutely. So it is quite difficult at the moment for people, you can't go out, you can't get involved with different things. So there are things you could be doing whilst you're at home. So for example, you could potentially be doing, some online training. You've got a fantastic opportunity with Google Digital Garage. You could get involved with that and complete a course, and they will give you a certificate. You could potentially be watching YouTube tutorials. So for example, if you are going to be studying computer science and want to learn about coding, or you might be a graphic design student and want to develop your Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator skills, you could potentially be watching tutorials on YouTube to try and develop those skills before you come onto campus. So these are things you could be doing whilst you are at home. So you don't actually have to go out to develop your skills. These are things you could be doing whilst you're stuck at home in order for you to improve your prospects and your career aspects whilst you come to university.
Thank you so much for that, Zul. So Zul has very kindly gone through what students can do prior to coming to university, what students can do within their first year. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch over to Jane, who's going to give us some details around some of the different types of opportunities students can look forward to within their second year.
Thanks very much. So as well as continuing with the opportunities that Zul highlighted, for example, clubs, societies, part-time work, students also have the opportunity at DMU to undertake a placement year. So the placement year actually takes place between the second and the final year, hence why students would work with us in their second year to secure that, meaning that they'll be undertaking a 4-year degree. So there's no need for students to change their student finance details or amend their course until they've actually secured a placement, and we can support them with that. And the great news is that each faculty has a dedicated placement team. So for example, in the business and law faculty, we have an open door policy. We're open Monday to Friday, 9 to 4, and every single day apart from bank holidays and weekends. So again, despite the situation with us all working from home, we're still very much available, and we will be throughout the whole of the summer vacation to support students and to help them secure placements. Now, for BioChem and ADH, students can all undertake a placement year, but for HLS, so Health and Life Sciences, it's slightly different depending on the course that students are undertaking. And so students undertaking science, psychology and educational courses are eligible to apply for optional placements, but there are some courses where placements are mandatory. So Dave and our team actually used to work in the HLS faculty, so I'm just going to briefly hand over to him to give you an overview, and I'll be back with the rest of the placement searching process.
Okay, thanks, Jane. Yeah, hi, good afternoon again, everybody. So I used to work in the Health and Life Sciences placement team, or HLS as we abbreviate it for short. And the vast majority of courses within the HLS faculty are professional practice courses. So for example, you have things like nursing, midwifery, social work, youth community development, which is YCD, speech and language therapy, again abbreviated to SLT. So all of these courses are generally leading to professional practice outcomes. So for this range of courses, students will do mandatory placements rather than optional placements. But because the courses are accredited, so for example, nursing and midwifery are accredited by the Nursing and Midwifery Council, the placements that you undertake will actually lead to these professional outcomes. So this is why they are mandatory. However, one of the things we're really keen to kind of emphasize at DMU is that even if you're doing a course which has mandatory placements built into it, you can still access all of the careers advice and support that you might otherwise want to gain from your time at university. So one of the things that we do place a lot of emphasis on at DMU is the development of your own skill set, because this is going to be really, really important for your future careers. So even if you're doing a professional practice course within HLS, for example, something like nursing, your transferable skill set is still going to be really important. So the so-called soft skills which you have, things like communication skills, teamwork skills, etc., those are really important for nursing roles, for roles within midwifery, within social work, etc. And the careers service will work with you to support and develop that skill set. So even though you'll be kind of developing those and your experiences from your mandatory placements, the careers service will actually work really, really closely with you to help you develop some of those extra transferable skills, which Zor mentioned at the start, which are going to be really, really for your careers. So a slight difference with some of the HLS courses, but as I said, the important thing to emphasise is that anybody from any course across the university can access career support at any time.
Thanks for that. I believe I'm going to pass back over to Jane, who's going to finish off talking around her section around opportunities within the second year. So Jane, are you there?
Yes, I am. Excellent, thank you. So that was really helpful, Dave. So moving on now, we want to think about actually the benefits of undertaking a placement year. So now you know when it takes place. I'm just going to give you 5 really good reasons why you should undertake one. So number 1, it makes you much more competitive and attractive in the graduate job market. You can show an employer that you've already undertaken the roles and responsibilities that they might be asking you to do as part of a graduate role. Second, you can apply the learning that you've got in DMU. So that's your first year of studies, your second year, once you finish searching for a placement with your faculty team. So you can apply those 2 years to the industry that you're looking to go into. So you can really apply all that learning and really think about how it operates in the outside world. You can improve your academic performance. So the placement year is credit bearing, which we'll talk about very briefly shortly. However, we find that students, especially in BAL, who come back after undertaking a placement, perform better academically. So not only can they use those credits that they've got out on placement towards their final degree mark, but also because they've been in the working world, they've worked usually 9 to 5, paid bills, lived like an actual graduate beforehand, they're much more motivated and therefore use their time much better in their final year to really get a good overall degree grade. Number 4, out of the 5, students can really solidify their graduate plans. So there will be, hopefully, most of the placement you'll really enjoy, you'll get a lot out of it most certainly. But like a lot of job roles, there'll be things that you don't enjoy. And that means that you can take those things away, tweak them, and when you come to making those decisions about graduate jobs that you want to apply for, you can really hone in and really decide on what you want to go for. And number 5, last but not least, you get paid. So most of our placements are that are advertised are paid positions. So again, you're getting that real taste of graduate life because you've been out, you've earned that money, you've worked those hours, you've built those teams, you've built those networks, and hopefully decided on what job you want to go into. So hopefully those 5 reasons have really confirmed why it's a great idea to do a placement. And now I'm just going to briefly talk about the support that all the faculty teams will give to you. So that face-to-face support, again, it's slightly different at the moment because of the current circumstances. However, as you can see, we're very much adapting to it. So we're providing one-to-one appointments over the telephone and email. So we can look at your initial application, help you identify placement roles that you might be interested in, help you perfect those job applications and those mock interviews. And students can have as many appointments as they like. So it's not to say that after 2 or 3, submitted a few applications, that's it, the support stops. That's not the case at all. We really want to support you throughout the whole process, and that's one of the most rewarding parts of our role as well. We like to see that journey and see progress. So yeah, just you can have as many appointments as you like, and we find that the more students engage with us, the more likely they are to get a placement. In terms of group sessions, we can help with CVs, cover letters, interviews, and we run 2 and 3 day intensive courses on these things as well to really help students kickstart their placement search. And that online support has really kicked up at the moment. So we will be adapting that support wherever possible. So I know our team certainly have been doing sort of mock interviews with students, so very much embracing the technology, doing mock interviews from our homes, supporting students and finding that really successful for them as well. We're doing webinars as well. So from June to September, we'll be running webinars as normal. So things to support students in that placement search. And also doing specific ones, such as recently we've advertised our internal placements. So you'll hear from Karen shortly, and she'll tell you she is an internal placement student. So she is a student at the university, but has been working for us for the past year. For the next round of students, we've been really supporting them in that as well. We have great working relationships with employers, so we invite them onto campus for specific talks. We invite them to our annual placements fair, and a lot of employers actually solely advertise with De Montfort University, which means we have long-standing relationships with them, so we can help them find the best candidates and also make sure that students are really well prepared for applying for those roles. Now, it's really important noting as well that we have an enterprise offering at the university. So students are actually able to undertake sort of an enterprise placement, which means they'll be able to help be supported to start their own business. So after attending a workshop, creating a business idea, students can receive a bursary of up to £3,000, mentoring support and access to our on-site facilities. And this is really alongside a vast array of support that team will offer. So that might be competitions, one-to-one support, startup business advice, workshop, events, and we also have enterprise-focused societies. So again, building on what Zul said, making sure that you can continue with clubs and societies. We actually have an enactor society on campus. Now, coming towards the end now, the enterprise team are actually running a virtual startup summer school for current students and graduates, and I'm aware that's really popular, and that's taking place in June too. So if you want any more information on anything about the enterprise offering or any of the specific faculties, then please do look on the relevant social media pages because they're regularly updated. So hopefully that's given you a good overview of the second year, what you can be doing to enhance your employability, the benefits of a placement year, and how the faculty teams can really support you. So now I'm going to pass over to my colleague Louise, and she's going to talk to you about our dedicated portal, My Gateway.
Cool. Hi. Thanks for that, Jane. Yeah, so when you get to De Montfort University, you'll be able to access our online student support portal, and that's called My Gateway. So My Gateway gives you access to all of the support services at De Montfort University. So it covers things like the careers team, disability, counselling, and finance and welfare. So the facilities on My Gateway give you the option to either see somebody face-to-face, attend a workshop potentially with other people, or if you prefer, there are lots of written guides on there so you can complete tasks alone. So the facilities a little bit deeper in this on My Gateway. So you can book a one-to-one appointment. Now this applies to all of the departments. So you can discuss things like careers, guidance, everything from how to do a CV, how to perform well at an interview, all those things that will be linked to a careers team. You can also access the disability team. They can help you with any related issues, such as dyslexia screening or supporting you with your disability needs. We also have counselling team that are going to be there for you if you're struggling in any areas, mental health, well-being. We have finance and welfare, and they're going to be able to help you with your financial needs, applying student finance, budgeting, all those sorts of things. So the types of jobs that you can find on My Gateway, you'll be able to access placements, graduate roles, part-time jobs, temporary jobs. We also have a scheme called Front Runner. Now the Front Run is an internal scheme that's run by De Montfort University for a short-term work experience on campus. It's been really successful in the past, so it's a really good one to go for. Also, in the events area, there's lots of stuff that you can go for in there as well. So we have careers fairs, skills workshops, things like mock assessment centres, and then something that might be more course specific. So accounting and finance might run an event that's just for accounting and finance students. And then the last area we can find on My Gateway is resources. So this is what I touched on earlier. So you've got all of the written guides to support you with everything we've talked about, from how to do a CV to something like psychometric testing. Now, you might not have heard of psychometric testing before, but it's actually a part of the interview process. So once you put your application in, a lot of the time you'll get sent a test, and it could be something numerical or something verbal. So it's definitely a worthwhile resource. So we advertise thousands of jobs on My Gateway, but there are lots of other websites too that you can use. So some of our favourites are websites like Rate My Placement, Indeed, Target Jobs, Milk Round, Prospects, and LinkedIn, to name but a few. So when you're looking for a job, you should think about the types of things that you like. So what are you good at? You know, if you've done A-levels or BTEC, which ones did you prefer over others? Because obviously you'll be more successful in your job search if you focus on these aspects. What a key tip for you now is to start researching jobs, because it is quite time consuming. And if you can come to university with maybe half a dozen types of jobs that it is you'd like to apply for, it'll just save you time when you get here. So from a placement perspective, your placement can be located anywhere in the world, at companies big or small. If you're going abroad, what you do need to think about is how you're going to adjust to the culture and location. It might seem like an amazing idea to go to America for your placement, but if you're there on your own, then it could potentially be quite lonely. Also, if you've found a placement yourself, we can actually help you set that up as well. So if you've approached a company directly, then we can help you with setting that up. What I would say is a placement is a fantastic supported year out working in the real world. You do get credits. The credits go towards the second year, and you'll also get the support from a placement tutor who will come and visit you while you're out on your placement. They'll actually come and visit twice, unless you're somewhere like Australia. In addition to all of the information I've just mentioned, students should seriously think about joining LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is a professional networking site where you can follow companies that you're interested in and also search for jobs. I think it's important to make your profile interesting, have a professional picture, not just one of you down the pub with your mates. Share posts in there so that companies, you can see that you're being proactive, and connect with people. Now, it is also important when you're connecting with people that you do tailor your request. Don't just send the generic requests off, otherwise people will see that you've not really put the effort in. But that is a really good portal to actually sign up to. So I'll pass it back to Dale.
Thank you for that, Louise. Thank you, Jane, and also thank you, Dave. You covered a great amount of information there, guys. If you guys do have any questions about some of the stuff that Jane, Louise, and Dave have discussed so far, please feel free to get involved and ask us a question. Louise, in the latter bit of your talk, you was talking about LinkedIn. Can you tell us why LinkedIn's important? And are there any examples of how it's helped students?
Yeah, LinkedIn is really important because it's where most companies have a presence. There's very few companies now that aren't on LinkedIn, and it is a great way to research people and actually show them that you're interested in working for them. In the past, we have had people headhunted on LinkedIn, but it's also a brilliant way for us to go and find jobs as well that might not be advertised elsewhere. Just a quick top tip when you're using LinkedIn: when you're setting up your profile, edit it so that it shows that you're looking for either a graduate job or a placement. So when you first type somebody's name in, it will actually come up with a short bit of blurb about the person. So that's where you want to put that you're looking for a job, and then potentially someone could headhunt you. Cool.
Thank you very much for that, Louise. We've had some questions coming through on YouTube just to break up the show a little bit, and I just wanted to answer those just to say we're not ignoring you guys. We can see your comments, so please do keep them coming through. So we had a question from a Mr. Batro. My apologies if I haven't said your name correctly. Hello, sir. You've applied for DMU for September intake, but you haven't got an offer until now. What is the approx time to get a decision from us? Because that's an admissions query. One thing that I'm going to recommend you to do, I'm going to put up an email address on the screen now for you to email. So my advice to you would be just drop these guys an email. They're our admissions team, and they will be able to answer your query for you. So I hope that's answered that for you. We've had another question come through, and it's regarding music theory. Is it based on practical or theory? Again, one thing that I'm going to recommend you to do, 8D World, is to have a look at our prospectus. So if you go onto our website there, so the link's been provided for you, go on to dmu.ac.uk/prospectus. You could download an online copy, and we can also post one out to you. But should you have any further questions from there regarding the course, please feel free to get involved on that link where you can speak to a current student advisor, and they will be able to answer any questions that you've got in regards to music. So hopefully those have answered some of the questions that are coming through at the moment. Back onto the show. So Dave, I hear you've got something fantastic to tell us around DMU for Life. Oh, apologies there, technical difficulty. I think Dave has left us. So we'll pick up some questions until Dave can reconnect. Is he back? He's back. Just bear with me a second. I'm going to pull him back into the screen.
Sorry, I wasn't running away just then.
I think you just wanted to leave me in the lurch, didn't you?
Leaving people in suspense for a few seconds. I'm back.
Your DMU for Life is that great? You're building up the suspense.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Apologies for that. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the support from a careers perspective that you can get in your third year at DMU, and then also some of the support which is ongoing after you actually leave the university or you leave higher education. Okay, so it might seem a bit strange to be talking about your final year at university or life after university if you haven't even actually sort of come to study here yet. But I can absolutely 100% say that your time will go really, really quick. So whether it's at DMU, whether it's somewhere else, the 3 years that you study go really, really quickly. So it is kind of important just to make sure that with regards to your career, you really are taking advantage of everything that is offered from a university so that you're fully ready for when you finish higher education and you start your careers. Okay, so just firstly, just touch on some of the career support that you can get in your third year, and then we're going to go on talking a little bit about the university's initiative, which is DMU for Life. So when it comes to your third year, as with the other years, DMU will support you with all of the career support, advice and guidance that you need to help you make a few more informed decisions about your future career and what you want to do. So what industries you want to go into, and you know what kind of job perhaps that you want, or what sort of career that you want to go into. So what you probably find is that for third year students at the university, there's kind of a bit more of an emphasis on sort of like graduate support and looking a bit more with regards to what you are actually going to do after you leave uni. So perhaps in those first couple of years, we're going to be looking at really sort of focusing and supporting you on developing your employability and developing the skill set that you're going to need for your futures. And then when it comes to that third year, you'll probably start to notice that that little bit of support is changing ever so slightly, just to be a bit more focused on life after higher education. So there's plenty of things that the careers service at DMU offers within your final year. One of the things I do want to touch on is something called the DMU Works Skills Hub. So Louise mentioned My Gateway, which is our internal university careers portal, which if you come and study at DMU, you'll have full access to. And within that, we have something called DMU Works Skills Hub. So this is an online careers site which contains loads and loads of information that you can access. It has a ton of careers-based resources, all which are sort of aligned to your future careers. So perhaps you might have an interest in, for example, working in the music industry, or perhaps you might have an interest in becoming an accountant, really sort of like diverse roles. But My Career Builder, as we call it, has a huge amount of resources which you can access, and that will give you loads and loads of information and advice on how to kind of like tailor your future career and what to look at and consider. And the great thing with that as well is because it's online, you can essentially access that from anywhere. So you don't necessarily have to be on campus to access the DMU Works Skills Hub and My Career Builder. Within that third year as well, we offer loads and loads of one-to-one appointments across a whole range of different areas. So for things like looking at CVs, cover letters, application forms, helping you with prepare for interviews, etc. And we'll help you as well find out suitable graduate schemes. So if you do want to go onto a graduate program when you finish at university, the Careers Service will actually help you sort of identify opportunities and support you with your applications. Okay, so if you imagine that you've actually now moved on from university, we have something as mentioned which is called DMU for Life, which I think is a really in the university runs. So DMU for Life essentially means that as a DMU graduate, you'll have access to loads of support with regards to careers and other areas, essentially for life. Okay, so when you graduate, we don't wave goodbye and say farewell. In essence, this is kind of almost like the beginning of your DMU story and your DMU journey. We want you to remain connected and vice versa. We're going to remain connected with you as well. So what this means, first of all, from a careers perspective, it may well mean that you graduate and then 5 years later, or perhaps 10 years later, you suddenly feel like a change of career, a change of direction. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people decide on looking at different career options, or they might want to come back and study a different kind of degree. So even if you studied at De Montfort and 10 years have gone past, you can still access the full support and advice to get a bit of information about how you can access those opportunities and what you can do to sort of fully change the path that you're going down. So one of the great things about DMU for Life is that it means that even once you've graduated from the university, you remain part of the DMU family. So you can access career support from us at any time. We also run something called DMU Networks, which is really, really exciting. And I think, again, it's a really, really great initiative. So as part of the DMU for Life initiative, the DMU Networks gives you access to industry professionals in your chosen career path who can provide you with advice and guidance from an employer perspective. So this will be connecting you with people who actually work in the industry or the profession that maybe perhaps you want to go into. So this is really important because this means that you're going to be connecting with people who have a lot of experience of working in those industries. And if you want to go into quite a specific career, it can be really, really valuable to actually have the option to connect with people who perhaps work in that industry already and can give you that bit of extra advice and a bit of extra guidance, and perhaps even possibly open a few doors to help you get into that industry of your choice. So the DMU Networks is mainly run across LinkedIn, which is why it's really important to set up a LinkedIn account if you don't already have it. And what we'll do from that is we'll connect you with a whole range of different contacts and different people that you can connect with and seek information. And the great thing about the DMU Networks as well is that it means a lot of people are posting up-to-date content about the industries which they work in. So you're always keeping on top of the news. You're always keeping on top of developments. You're always keeping on top of like events or conferences, etc., which are coming up. So it's a really, really sort of useful resource that you'll be able to access. And then also as part of DMU for Life, you will have access to DMU alumni clubs, which again is really, really valuable. So this means you can connect and engage with other alumni around the world. So after you leave the Montfort University, wherever you're going to be based, whether it's in the UK, whether it's elsewhere in Europe, Asia, the Americas, etc., if you're part of one of our alumni clubs, you can actually connect with people, and you can even create groups as well. And again, this is really, really valuable just from the perspective of helping you keep in touch not just with the university, but with other people who have maybe either graduated from the same degree as you at the same time, or perhaps graduated in advance of you and can give you a bit of sort of guidance and a bit of advice. So in a nutshell, DMU for Life literally does mean that you are part of the DMU family for life, and you'll have access to loads and loads of resources that you would have if you were sort of based here as a student.
Thank you so much for that, Dave. I feel like I've lost someone. Louise. Here we go. We're back.
Here she comes. She's back.
So what we're going to do now, we're going to go into a bit of a Q&A. We've got Kieran joining us. So Kieran, I'm just going to put you on the screen now, followed by the question. So the first question we've got for you is, why is it important for you to gain work experience?
I think it's really beneficial in the future, especially after you've graduated, because employers, they'll definitely notice that you've had a full year's work experience. So it gives you a slightly better advantage over someone who maybe hasn't carried out a year-long experience. You develop so many skills from it as well, so like confidence. And as I work in employer engagement, I have a good idea of what employers look for. So there's a lot of transferable skills that I never had before. So things like, using your own initiative and leadership skills if my manager's not around. It also helps with completing your degree. So I know a lot of the things that I've learned practically, I can put into theory next year when I'm completing my assignments and doing my exams in final year. And it's a good way to build up your contacts and communications. So I've built so many really good relationships with new employers and in my team as well. So yeah.
Ooh, I think my Wi-Fi lagged out a little bit there, so apologies on that. Before we move on to the next question, guys, I just want to open it up to all of you now. What would you say why it's important for students to gain this work experience? What is the most integral part of it? Does anyone want to have a go at sharing their opinion, or no?
I would just say that if I was to be, as a recruiter, if I was to be given 2 CVs, both students done fantastically well academically, scored really high at A-levels, BTECs, and perhaps in their degree, and one can demonstrate that they've got some level of work experience, well, of course I go directly for them, because they've proven to me that, as Kieran said, they're using their initiative to source that opportunity, but also that they're able to carry out the tasks that I would potentially be asking them to do. So maybe it could be something, administrative. It could be something, as Kieran said, maybe a leadership quality or something. Well, if that student can already say, well, I've done some level of work experience, whether that be a placement year, an internship, something over the summer, well, of course, that person as a candidate would be much more attractive than someone who perhaps hasn't used their initiative to source that. And as you can see, DMU offers so many opportunities for students to undertake that, so there's no reason why that shouldn't be an option for them.
Excellent. Thanks for not leaving me in the dark there, Jane. Does anyone else want to say anything or add anything else onto that before we move on? Yeah, Dave?
Yeah, I'll mention something. Yeah, cool. Yeah, just really to kind of echo what Jane says. I think the work experience aspect is really, really important. So certainly what we found over the last few years is that obviously the degree that you achieve is still really, really important. However, a lot of employers are now saying, when it comes to graduation, okay, fantastic, you've got your degree, but what else have you done in your time at university? So what extracurricular activities have you been involved in? What work experience have you had, etc.? So it is really kind of important to start building up as soon as possible any kinds of experience that you can get. Even if a position doesn't feel or seem that important, let's say, for example, you might work at McDonald's, okay? No disrespect to anyone that works at McDonald's. However, at this stage, it is really, really important because you can show a load of different skills that employers will be looking for. So I think one of the most important things is to just try and gain as much experience as you can do. And as Jane mentioned, there's tons of things that you can get involved with at DMU to kind of like enhance that. So there's lots of different societies, and there's volunteering opportunities. You can undertake placement, all kinds of stuff, which will really, really sort of enhance your experience and your skills, so that when it comes to actually graduating, and if you're applying for a graduate position, and you can demonstrate that you've done loads and loads of different stuff whilst being at university, and you've got lots of experience, and you can evidence lots of skills, that's going to give you a massive advantage, perhaps over other candidates who haven't been quite as proactive. So I think definitely, just gaining as much experience as you can do over 3 years whilst you're at uni, because it will go really, really quickly. So yeah, the more you can do, the better, really.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Dave.
I'll just add to that.
Of course you can, Louise.
I was just going to say, now more than ever, it's going to be really important to build your work experience while you're at university, because obviously with all of this that's happening at the moment, unemployment is going to go up. So grad jobs, you're going to have more people go in for them. So it really, really is crucial to get that work experience, and the placement year really is worth its weight in gold. Thanks, Dal.
Cheers. Thank you for that, Louise. Right, Kieran, we're going to switch back to you now. We've got another question for you. The question is, what would you recommend for students to do before they come to university, and what should they be thinking about and what should they think about? Oh, there's a typo there. And what should they be thinking about?
I think before students come to university, they should definitely connect with DMU on social media. So the official ones, the careers and placement teams, they have their own individual ones as well. It's just so you can keep up to date with like the latest activities that we hold on and off of campus. That way you can see the types of societies that we have that you can join. You can also see how diverse diversity and how we support the local and wider community. Also on these individual careers and ones that we have, we're always posting and promoting the types of jobs that we have, just hints and tips for interviews, mock assessment centres. And also we share a lot of DMU success stories, so students can, you know, read these stories and hopefully be inspired, and they can see where their degree can take them. And like Louise mentioned earlier as well, I think work experience or any voluntary work is always relevant, even if it, you know, if it doesn't relate to your degree. Any work experience is definitely relevant. And a good thing that students can do at the minute is maybe just think about any voluntary work that they've done in the past, or, you know, any paid work that they've done, and kind of get it together and start creating a LinkedIn account if you don't have one, or even adding these things onto your CV. So even if you did a day or a week's work experience, you might not think it's a lot, but it is definitely worth adding into your CV or on LinkedIn. But I think the biggest thing is definitely not to worry too much. You'll always have support, obviously, at home or from lecturers, the careers team. I know I couldn't have got my placement without the Val placement team, so shout out to you guys for that. But yeah, you'll always have support. So yeah.
Thank you for that, Kieran. I'm just going to keep you on the screen there because you mentioned your placement with business and law faculty. What has been your highlight of your placement? And would you mind just explaining a bit to our viewers what you actually do on your placement?
Okay, so I'm the employer engagement assistant, and we create and organise a lot of events. So, for example, the annual careers fair that we have, I helped organise and plan that, and it was really nice to see lots of work and planning kind of being brought to life. We liaise a lot with employers to organise trips to companies' head offices. So if there's a company that students really want to go to, we can liaise with them and organise a trip. And yeah, we run a few social media accounts as well, mostly the DMU Works Instagram. I think one of my highlights would be creating and organising my own event with the 3 other internal placement students. It turned out to be a really good success, and hopefully it is something that they run every year. And I think also working with a really great and supportive team who are always open to listening and implementing my ideas. It's been really nice to be listened to.
Excellent. What was your event about? So you said you created an event. What was that event about?
So it was called Careers Uncovered, and we invited a few employers. So we had a panel mixed with employers and some of the advisors, and students were able to come and kind of network with the employers, ask any questions that they had that they were worried about, whether it be about interviews, assessment centres, just the general process. And we played a few career-related games. So we played Kahoot, we had pizza. So it's kind of like a really nice informal networking event for students that we had.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Guys, the DMU Work team, has she been a pleasure to work with?
Absolutely.
That's the political answer, so we'll leave that there. Okay, so we've got a few more questions that are coming through on YouTube, so I'm just going to open this up for you all to have a discussion about. What companies have students completed their placement with?
I think one of my favourite instances of a student going to a company is when a student came in one day and he was, I don't think I'm going to do a placement because I can't work anywhere that's any decent. And he ended up getting a project management role for Rolls-Royce in Bristol. And he absolutely loved it. He's graduated and he's now back there as a graduate. And he's gone from thinking he wasn't going to do a placement to having the most amazing time and then getting this absolutely brilliant graduate job. So I think that's one of my favourite companies, success stories.
Oh, excellent. Anyone else?
Yeah, we've had a lot of students, who've been placed at different companies. So literally, we've had people across the UK. Just to give an example, we've just recently placed a student at Disney, Walt Disney, based in London. We've had previous students work at Walt Disney. Some of these students who've completed the placement, like Louise said, have been offered a graduate position. So a couple of our students who worked at Walt Disney before have gone back to work at Walt Disney as graduates. We've had people work for car companies as well. So we've had people at Bentley, Mercedes, Toyota, a Jaguar Land Rover, loads and loads of companies that our students have worked at. We've had a student work at Heathrow Airport, did a communications placement, had a fantastic placement here at Heathrow Airport. We've had people working for the government as well, the Government Economic Service. Students have worked there, have had fantastic. So a whole range of companies that our students have worked at.
Excellent. Jane, Dave, would you guys like to add anything, or are you happy to move on?
I was just going to add as well that as well as these big household names, so really huge, impressive companies, we also have students working for smaller and indeed local SMEs, so small to medium-sized enterprises. So if sort of you're hearing these names and you're thinking, well, that's really big, I'm not sure if I'll be interested in that sort of working culture, or that's not necessarily for me. Well, there are so many different roles available. And as I mentioned in my section about searching for placements, we do have lots of relationships, certainly with local employers as well, where students actually go out and work for them. So there's really something to suit everyone. So as soon as you hit that time of whether it is a placement or internship or indeed graduate job, just make sure you come and talk to the relevant team, and we can support you in that application process.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Dave, happy for me to continue?
Sorry, say again. Sorry, Dal.
Are you happy for me to carry on, or is there something that you want to add?
No, yeah, I think the team are fully covered that. I'm happy for you to move on.
What an absolute cop out.
Well, okay. Well, no,
I'm only joking with you. Okay, so the next question that we've had is: do placement providers look at A-level/BTEC grades?
Okay, so
that one, if you like.
You go for that, Dave.
I'll go for that a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Just to show I'm not popping out. Just to show. Okay. So. Right, so when it comes to applying for placements, obviously we'll work with you on your CVs just to make sure that you've got the full details on there. So, for example, we look at your education history and your work experience background too. So not all placement providers will necessarily look at A-level or BTEC grades. So one of the things that we have found is that what the most important thing is how you're getting on at university at the moment. So it is really, really important that if you want to do a placement year, that you make sure you really kind of focus and essentially try your hardest to do as best as you can do with all the support that you'll get in your first year, so that when it comes to applying for placement opportunities, you can really sort of demonstrate that you've got some strong grades from your first year. Now, if your A-level grades or your BTEC grades aren't as great as you'd hoped for, or they're not as strong as you'd expected, again, if you've worked really, really sort of hard in your first year and you've got some really strong grades from those, you can show your academic development, which a lot of employers will take into account. And we do have a tendency to find, as I said, that employers seem to be a bit more focused on how you're actually doing academically right now. Some companies might request specific A-level grades or BTEC grades, but those tend to be the much bigger companies who will receive so many applications that essentially they're trying to sift down the numbers themselves. So they might put a few little bits and pieces in like that. But we do work with so many companies, and we literally offer and advertise thousands of opportunities across the whole university. So we work with people very closely to find positions and placements which are suitable for them. So in general, some employers will look at them. However, the vast majority of employers will be a bit more kind of focused on how you're doing at uni at the moment. And again, unless anyone wants to contradict me, which they might do.
Thanks for that, Dave. I think you've redeemed
yourself
there. Jane, did you want to mention something on that?
No, I guess the only thing is, whilst employers don't necessarily look at them, you've got to think about each stage of your education journey as the key to open the next. So if you don't do as well at your A-level or BTECs, then that might impact your chances of moving to the next stage. So yeah, just don't take your foot off the gas. But if for whatever reason those grades aren't as you'd hoped, then as Dave said, as long as you can demonstrate that academic development and that you can really apply yourself and show commitment to your course, and indeed the placement area that you want to go into, then that's what's really important.
Excellent. Guys, happy for me to move on?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Another question that we've had, but I feel like we've already covered it. What companies have students worked at? I mean, Zul gave a great list of all the major companies. Jane, you also mentioned some of the smaller businesses that our students that have worked with. So I'm just going to move on to the last question that I think we've got for today. If you don't enjoy your placement, can you switch or do?
Can I have this one?
Of course you can.
Oh, this probably comes a little bit under my remit. It is a really tricky one, but what I would say is we work really hard with the students before they get their placement to make sure that it is the right one for them. So the number of students not enjoying their placement and leaving is really, really low. So when a student comes to us, we make sure we know what they're looking for, advise jobs that might fit with them as well. Now, if you then go to a job and things aren't working as they should be, we have placement tutors in place and they'll come out and visit you. So it is important that you let us know early on. 9% of the time we manage to rectify things and the student will go on and enjoy the rest of their placement. In general, to do 2 placements is a little bit harder because the whole thing is about your development over 12 months. So you do your first 6 months and complete it, and as you're going along you assess your skills and move on to higher level stuff. So to do 2 6-month ones, you're kind of going back to the start and starting all over again, so it's a little bit harder, but we try really hard to make sure you're fitted to the right placement. Cool.
Thank you for that, Louise. Anyone else want to add on? Are we happy with that? No? Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of our live stream. So first of all, we just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy days. I know during this lockdown, you probably have 2 other things that you need to do. One probably was sleep, one probably eating. So for you guys to spend some time with us this afternoon has been really, really great for us, and hopefully it's been beneficial for you. Just a couple of things I want to point in towards your direction. That we know that everything that's going on at the moment with the coronavirus pandemic, we're trying to put substitutes in place wherever possible. So we're still planning for our open days, but you can always go onto our website now and have a look at the virtual open day that's currently going. If any of you want to have a look at our course prospectus, please feel free to follow the links that are provided on the screen. So from me and the rest of the guys, we'd just like to say thank you and bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later, guys.